Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Football 360 Show, the fastest hour of football talk on the planet. Your Tuesday football fix. I am JP Rock. Matt Bierman, as always, is here holding the place down, keeping everything together, getting me all set up, slapping my computer down on the desk for me.
Making it happen.
He makes it happen. Actually, it's producer
No,
Joe
it's
makes it happen,
me.
but Matt takes the credit.
I'll take the.
And you can take the credit because you're always here before me.
Except for last week I wasn't.
Except
last week I was not.
But another great week of football that we saw. Man, I'm telling you what, is going by too fast. We're coming up on 3 more games of high school football.
Yeah,
gonna happen, and then the playoffs. Luckily, the playoffs. Now that playoff season goes into December this year.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
But a lot of people will be out early November. There'll be a lot of
early. Yeah,
a lot of hurt feelings.
Unlike college football, there's not the parity that there is in high school football. You can really see
it's ups and downs.
Well, you can see who the who's are and who the aren't already, and you see how that's building up. Not a lot of serious upsets. I had my original plan. I think I told you I was going to be in Mid-Mo last week.
Yep.
But road construction detoured me from that, and I had to pull an audible, which turned out to be pretty good. Wound up at Fort Zumwalt South against North Point.
Okay.
Which was pretty good. Kingston McPike was out of that game though, unfortunately, and so was Jeremiah Mosey, two of North Point's best wide receivers.
But then there was a young player who rose up in that game though.
There were
Tyrone Williams, right? Didn't he had a really good game?
Tyrone and Tavron, both had excellent games. Hoyt had a really good game as well. I think he threw for like 5 touchdowns, something like that. Marcus Snazik, who you may know, I hear JP. I hear JP a lot from the sidelines and Marcus was there. Obviously,
he makes his rounds every weekend of all the Wentzville schools. Yeah. That's his stomping grounds.
I'm gonna employ Marcus.
Yes, he's out there each weekend.
He's out there doing his thing, and I got to meet Matty Mock's brother-in-law as well. So you never know who you're going to run into.
There you go
at high school football games, and of course that's going on. Things are heating up. Some big games coming up this week. Primarily Lafayette and Eureka.
That'll be a good one. 2 unbeaten.
Yep.
Battle of 109.
Yeah, Battle of 109. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's kind of unique because they share a middle school. So you got some kids that
everybody
grew
knows
up together, right? Yeah. And then some go to Lafayette, some go to Eureka, and it should be a fun game.
No, Lafayette probably shouldn't, but it surprises me a little bit how good they are and the success that they're having. But they do have
that group that's seniors.
They've been together.
They've been together through their middle school ranks, and then the junior class supporting them underneath. Those were 2 teams that were really good in middle school football.
Right. The quarterback's really good. I think he just committed to a school, if I'm not mistaken.
WashU. Jack Beal. Yeah.
Yeah. Really good quarterback. Of course, Robbie Preckle.
Yeah.
One of the top players in the state in 2025. And of course, on Eureka's side, they just have like a college-sized offensive line.
Yes, they're
and
big.
They're just
big and
strong. They just run it down your throat.
Yeah, and then they use their tight end pretty well.
Yep,
or H-back, whatever they.
And they have a solid defense. They have a really good defense. Really good defensive lineman, 2027 kid, Noah McCullum.
Yeah,
who just keeps getting better and better, and so
Andy McCullum's son.
Yep. So.
He's got good bloodlines, right?
That's funny how that works out.
Yeah, it is.
The good bloodlines work out. So that's going to be a really good game this weekend as well. Mizzou was in action last weekend. And
were they in action?
Well, I said, I past couple of weeks, I said, Texas A&M.
Yeah, you don't sleep on them.
Don't sleep on them. And it's going to be a real test of your team. Now, we've talked before about so much parity in college football, and look at Vanderbilt. Right, that Vanderbilt win's looking better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that Vanderbilt upset Alabama.
What's funny is Mizzou. How far did they drop after they beat Vanderbilt in overtime?
They dropped out of the top 10. They
right,
were like down
and then
14
so Alabama
rose.
Loses to them
right.
and drops 6 spots or 5 spots, whatever it is.
Right.
I mean, it just kind of shows you there's staying power, and then there's get out of here. we don't need you in this. We don't need you here.
Right. You're not part of the club.
Yeah, you're an annoyance. And so that's why, Mizzou, you just can't afford to have those hiccups. And it's unfortunate.
Is it a hiccup, though? Is losing to Texas A&M on the road a hiccup?
Well, the hiccup is they didn't, there's an unfortunate, very rare you see a flag picked up for pass interference. I mean, and, Will Lee is a kid that we trained. He played Midwest Boom. He played at Kirkwood. He was a guy that I know and really like, and he's a heck of a player. But it was a clear pass interference. They waved it off, which again a little suspect. And then you got the illegal man downfield.
Yeah,
little ticky tack. I mean, both calls. The announcers and the in-house ref on the broadcast both thought it was a little
some home cooking.
Yeah, well, just not ideal, but at some point Mizzou had to put their foot in the ground and make a statement, and they just never did. And it just, it goes back to there's some serious offensive line woes, right? And you start getting, that's part of college football, though. You start changing your chemistry. You have guys leave, you have new guys come in. It becomes problematic sometimes when they're not gelling. And oddly enough, right before the game, I was in the car, turned it on, and heard the broadcast on radio, and the O-line coach was talking about how they're just really trying to work to get the left side of the line to gel together. And it's like, that we're working on it in practice, and we're trying to get, situations where they're together. And it's like, well, the unfortunate truth is, you had all off season for that, right? We're week 5. If they're not gelling, it might be a personnel issue.
Correct.
Right. And most likely.
Well, I'll just come out and say it is a personnel issue.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, their offensive line has been one of the weaknesses. The combination of their offensive line and the loss of Cody Schrader has been very noticeable. And it affects everybody. It affects your passing game. It affects your quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
From a leadership perspective, too.
Yes.
They don't have the Cody Schrader. I think Brady Cook and Cody Schrader fed off of each other last year. And
absolutely.
Unfortunately, they just don't have that identity. And they're going to have to get some stuff figured out. I mean, UMass is probably a good place to figure it out.
It is.
But, again, college football. Yeah, right. College football, though, the parity in college football, it's no joke. I mean, you turn around, you start looking Vanderbilt. You start looking at Arkansas beating Tennessee.
That's a shocker.
You start looking at some of these other matchups. Yeah, there's some good teams up top. The interesting thing is I've seen, with like the Big Ten this year, you kind of thought, well, it'll be nice to see this infusion of these West Coast teams. Well, the problem is those teams are all kind of on a downtrend. It looks like Washington is kind of finding their identity again. UCLA's not good. Oregon's all right. They're pretty good. I mean, they're a top 10 team, top 5 team, but they haven't been tested yet. Right. And then you got, obviously Ohio State's there, but have they been tested?
No, they're always there.
I mean, it's, and the problem is, Penn State might be one of the tests, and it's kind of like it keeps doing the same thing each year. Whereas you look at the SEC, not that Vanderbilt, you see that one coming, but top to bottom, losing to Texas A&M at Texas A&M, I think the tough thing is how they got beat, not that they got beat.
Right.
They got beat.
Yeah, but 41-10. I mean,
and they just could not. They just couldn't stop them defensively, and they just didn't. They could not do much. And there was a little bit of an implosion from our star players.
Yeah.
Just from a temper tantrum standpoint. And I mean, Alabama had the same thing go on their field. I mean,
seeing way too much of that this year.
Way too much.
Yep.
And you got to win with class. You got to lose with class. It is what it is. I mean, you got to fight. You don't roll over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a really interesting deal. And I think the parity is very real. But it's going to be interesting, though, because, like this week is a I don't know if a lot of fans know this, but this is a pretty big week in college football. There's meetings between the SEC and Big Ten. Going on this week. And then there's, there's some things that, they're talking about, cross, alliance and playing together and doing things. But, to me, it sounds like they're getting their ducks in a row to
expand,
to make sure that they have the power play. So,
yeah.
I read a real interesting article about there's a thing called Project Rudy, and it is kind of what we've been talking about. It's the Super League. It's a 70-team league.
It's coming, man.
It's backed by private equity. It's backed by Disney, people like that, the ESPNs of the world, and they're looking at basically trimming the fat and having marquee matchups every week. Because if you think about it, and I forgot what the exact percentage. Let's say 20% of the games are like these non-conference FBS and Group of Five, and the really bad thing is you read between the lines, they're cutting them out. Right. It's done. So there's 70. They want the top 70 teams from the top 4 conferences. They're going to play. They're going to tier it, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. That's how you get paid. They have not established how you're going to get paid, but I think it was I think it's like top 10 teams drove, or top 8, whatever it is, drove the vast majority of views of college football last year. And historically they do.
So what we're talking about is exactly what we've been talking about over the past year. Because I think we've been on a year, right?
Mm-hmm. Just a little over.
We're talking about a professional league. It's going to be competition for the NFL.
Yeah.
Is what you're going to have with college football. And then you're going to have the other guys.
What's interesting is too, as I was reading it, then there's another two competing plans, and then kind of the thought process of why the SEC and Big Ten are meeting now is maybe they think they could do it themselves. I think that's a problem because they got yes, I get where they're coming from, because they probably don't want to give up much, because that's the fear. Hey, if we do this. But it's a free market, and there are people that are far superior at the marketing, at the TV rights, at all those things. I mean, let's be honest, it's a very flawed system as it stands now. They can't, they don't get it right, and that's some of it's the doing of the NCAA, but a lot of it's just how these teams, like they're universities, they're public universities, the vast majority, they're not efficient. I mean, let's cut to the chase. I mean, vast majority of government institutions are not the most, they're not the beacons of efficiency, right? No. They're just not. So you just think that they're going to run those. And I think we talked about it before. I've read numerous things where these experts have said to capitalize, they're getting about $3 billion a year capitalized off of off of the college football right now. Mm-hmm. They think it's worth 15 to 30. So almost 10x what they're doing now, and it's because they're inefficient. So, but I do think it's really interesting. They call it Project Rudy, based off of like Rudy Rudiger from, it's kind of like this, underdog thing, but really they're going to cut the underdogs out. So It's kind of funny, but
that is. They're going to be the underdog of the NFL is what it's
right. So, but I think it's really interesting that like the net gain for the vast majority of the teams is going to be about $25 million per team. And guess what that's going to do? It's going to pay for the athletes.
Right.
So like today, the preliminary, or I think it was yesterday, the House versus NCAA lawsuit has pretty much been signed, and in the early stages of going into making it official. Mm-hmm. They have to pay like back $2.8 billion over the next 10 years. And so, what's going to happen is going to be really interesting to see the legal wranglings. Is the NCAA is going to ratify this, right? Or they're going to start sending this out to their members. This is a legally binding deal. And what if these guys, these institutions, the top 70, just say, hey, we're out of the NCAA, right?
Don't you see that coming eventually?
I mean, we're going to have our own league, and we're going to let our other sports fend for themselves, right? Because we're going to have more money. They can play, these 70 teams can play each other in other sports as well. But the FBS and the group, the smaller Group of Five, and then the FCS schools are going to get absolutely drilled. I think Division II will be fine, because they already live in that world, right? They're not getting TV rights and money from that. So like they have alternate revenue streams and how they do it, and it's the whole thing's going to get really, really interesting. But yeah, this week I think it's pretty big when it comes to the shaping of college football, and a lot of it's going on right now as we speak. So it should be interesting to see. Like, we'll be having this conversation 6 months from now or 8 months from now, and they think they're talking about like a 3-year break-in period, and like they're talking about like literally infusing 3 to 5 billion right on the front end. And you know what it is? They're going to do it to basically buy out these contracts that say Mizzou has with UMass or they have with Memphis or whoever they have these games with, like the MAC schools. They're going to buy those guys out, get them contractually out of the equation so they can have their own league of 70 teams.
So do you ultimately see there being like multiple college leagues?
Yeah, like maybe you're just going to see
league, and then the other ones are going to have to form their own thing. Yeah, maybe some are going to have to stay with the NCAA.
Yeah, they're going to have their own.
So there's going to be like multiple different ones. So it's really going to change the landscape.
Well, everybody that's below that 70-team Super League will.
But don't you see the next tier of guys though wanting to get their own thing going so that they can like cut the other guys
so they're going to have that power group of 5 and then bring some of those groups, teams in from like the really good FCS schools, maybe bring them in.
Right.
Who knows? There's going to be some really good football being played, but the unfortunate thing is all the lion's share of the TV money is going to be paid to the top 70 teams. So it's just. It sucks. And then how do you get a kid that's a rising kid that say now was in a D2 or FCS program can he jump legally to this new league or
Yeah. I would imagine they probably let that happen because they want the talent.
Yeah.
They're always going to want the talent. It's amazing. And we talk about the parity and it is the transfer portal that's really caused the instant parity of what's going on. And, I mean, it's just amazing. And I hate it because, from the recruiting standpoint, and I get contacted by a lot of kids like, hey, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm telling you right now, there's not much you can do. You can play your best football. You can train. You can do everything you're supposed to. You can be proactive with the colleges, reach out to them, always keep your film updated and send it out to as many people. Don't feel like you're bothering or harassing these guys. Do it. There's no such thing. Because they are inundated, but guess what? It's a squeaky wheel, right? Do what you can do. It's going to take care of itself. And trust me, there are some really good kids who are just not getting recruited as they should.
This time of year,
it's nothing about them. But hold tight on, don't feel like, oh man, it's over for me, because there's still a long time to go. It's a marathon.
Yeah,
and things change.
It seems really quiet. I mean, keep hearing from kids like, hey, even kids that have offers, they kind of had the first 3 games and now they're like 6 games into the season and they're like, hey, I'm still putting my highlights up and I'm not getting a lot of traction. And it just seems as though there's a lot, it's pretty quiet. Like it seems really quiet. So
there's guys who are getting offers. Some offers are better than other offers. It's very much hit or miss, but don't feel as though, oh, well, that's it. It's over. If you're not hearing from schools right now.
No, because a lot of guys are trying to save their jobs. They're staying connected to their team. And then the unfortunate thing is that, like you get, let's say you have an early offer, right? And from this summer, right? And you're just kind of expecting, hey, there's more that are going to kind of come in. Well, people are going to look and see your body of work this season. And then there'll be a next wave, end of the season, let's say end of November through December, beginning of December, once they get to the early signing period, then right after that, it starts to open back up again.
Bingo. Yep.
Because those guys now have more time to concentrate on the 26s and 27s.
Right.
Right. And a few lucky 28s.
Even like if you're a 25 kid, don't feel, well, that's it. It's over for me, because there's still plenty of time for you to get the attention. And really, you want to focus on the guys who are giving you attention. Right. You may feel you can play at Mizzou or Alabama or whatever, but you really need to focus on who wants you. And the rest of that will take care of itself. Focus on who wants you, who's showing you the love, who's wanting to bring you in. And then, other schools, as their needs open,
right,
they will start looking, right? They will look furiously and look around and find who's still available and who's still out there.
Well, yeah, and I think there's so many kids that just don't understand our parents who are like, my kid's dream is to play at Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they might only take 20 kids per class if you're lucky, right? And they might only be taking 1 in your position group. And realistically, are you the best in the country at that position group? Are you the top 25, top 30 kid in the country?
Yeah.
And then even if you are a top 30, do you fit what they actually need for that position, right? And I think that's where people start to kind of, they don't have realistic views of like who they are and what they're about. So you want to find places that you fit and you look like the people that they're playing, right? And you possess the skills that they have. And so, like it is okay to dream. It's great.
Yeah.
But and it's also, let's be honest, there's kids that do go through the process and get those looks and get those offers from, like, let's say the bigger schools. And there's numerous times I've thought in the back of my head, like, ooh, that's probably not going to end well. And that kid 3 years later is not playing still there.
Right.
And they're looking, to transfer or just to ride it out. Yeah. And that happens. Like that happens.
It's such a fluid situation with recruiting. And even kids, when I go to the games and I talk to kids, and there are kids who've gotten offers last spring and summer, they don't hear from those schools anymore, right? So it's very fluid because everybody has a board, right? Everybody has a big board, and as they fill their needs, they don't send you a little note, say, hey, we don't want you no more, we're not interested. They just ghost you. You just don't. So it is a business. Even if you do have offers from schools, don't take it as I got those in the bank, right? It's constantly, just like with kids who are committed to schools, keep putting your film out there, right? Because coaching changes happen. Somebody else might decide that they want to come to that school, and they're like, well, who can we go ahead and move around and just not be there for them on signing day? That happens. So you want to constantly keep yourself out there, constantly keep yourself busy. And like I said, you want to go with who wants you. There's an old song. It goes, if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. Producer Joe, who is that? Is that Crosby, Stills, and Nash? I think maybe did that song. And that's really the way to be. Yeah. If you can't be with the one you love, my kid loves Mizzou, be with the school that wants you, that loves you.
Yeah.
And succeed there. And in this era, things change so much. I mean, you can go to that school and boom, transfer portal. Here you go. If you're that guy and you're that good,
so
you still have that option.
People they have such a narrow view because they look at they think it's like high school football, right? Mm-hmm. So high school football, let's be honest, each high school team in our area, let's say the good ones, like an average to above average to good, not the elite level school, they don't have a ton of dudes at your position, right? Like they got one or two guys. And then you get to the more elite level schools or programs, there's probably 2 to 3 kids there at that level, right? Maybe your grade and a grade above you and a grade below you. So they're stacked as far as talent, but the vast majority of parents and the kids, their view is like, well, I'm the best of my team. I'm the best tight end, right? Or I'm the best quarterback, whatever it might be. Well, what you don't view sometimes is there's inner workings of a college team. So say, for instance, and I saw this happen, to one of our better quarterbacks at a MAC school. He was going to get offered, pretty much going to get offered, commit, goes. The guy tells me they're going to offer him. Kid comes back, they don't get an offer, right? So what happened was, and you just made me think of this, was they had a tight end. So he's a quarterback. They had a tight end that was a high-level tight end commit. Mm-hmm. That they did not think they were going to get in-state kid.
Yep.
Okay. So what they did was they took the kid, the quarterback that they had moved from quarterback to tight end, they moved him back to quarterback. Now they don't have any room for a quarterback. They're short of scholarship.
Yeah.
Right. So it's things like that work. But on a high school team, you would never see anything like that happen. You just see, well, yeah, Johnny got moved back to quarterback. It doesn't really matter. We had a new kid move in. It's really good at tight end. We moved him back to third string quarterback. That's not going to affect you if you're better than him. Mm. It doesn't even matter if this recruit is better than that kid they moved back to quarterback. He probably is. Unfortunately, there's just no room and there's limitations on scholarship. So I just think you got to have a realistic view. You got to talk to people like us that can give you real world insight to how it works. There's a lot of snake oil salesmen that are going to tell you what you want to hear.
Ooh. Yeah.
And unfortunately,
there's more and more of that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, like parents don't know, like, look, I'm in the business of training and developing. That's what we do. So 9 times out of 10, you ask me what my opinion is. I'm going to tell you straight up. The other one time, I'm going to probably wait till your kid's out of the room and give you, even a little bit more in depth strategy and things that you can do, but like, I'm going to shoot you straight. You're going to shoot them straight. Like I always tell people, like, you come in and you're training and a kid's, being realistic. The nice thing is that there's other positions, right? Mm-hmm. And you can always send you to another position and you might be better suited there. We're not going to just tell you, oh yeah, you're a great quarterback when you're really not. Like, but we also want to know your goals. Like, do you just want to be a good high school quarterback? That's easy. We can help you do that all day long. Do you want to be a high level college quarterback? Okay. Do you have the baseline skill sets that are going to support that? And so, unfortunately, like, sometimes kids don't grow. Sometimes kids lose interest. Sometimes kids lose their edge.
Yeah.
Right. Those are things that you can't control. But if you want to stay down that path, it's pretty easy to stay on that path if you stay committed to the process. And so, but we're not just going to tell you to do it just to do it, because, we want you to, do it because we know what the ending is going to be. It's pretty obvious. Like, mm-hmm. I can tell you within a few minutes of watching someone throw and then watching them in game, like, okay, this person processes at a level that we can work with, right? And so, yes, there are things we can teach you 100% mechanically, 100% we can teach you footwork-wise to help you make better decisions so you're ready when you see it, you can actually throw it. But if there's, issues from a physiological standpoint, or if there's a mental issue as far as processing, right? Some brains process a lot faster with moving things going on, moving targets. Some don't. Some people have really good GPS. Some people have no GPS, mm-hmm. right? And so the guys with unbelievable GPS, their brain literally is calculating how fast someone's running, and they can hit them with the ball.
Carson Boyd.
Yeah. And there are certain people whose brains do that. And there's others, like, I'm watching some film this afternoon right before I came over of one of our quarterbacks, and he's younger. And you watch him taking unnecessary shots downfield when there's people right in front of him wide open. So, is that an impulse control? Is that he didn't see it? Was it, something that, he's desperate and he wants to make a play?
So he's taking the shots downfield. He's not like
not taking what
doesn't
they
get
give.
happy. What I call happy feet.
Yeah. He's hanging in there. He's just not taking what they give. Right. And so, that's part of
the opposite end of that. And I saw some of that is some people want to take off. Oh, right. Yeah. They get happy feet.
If you can't hang in there, it's probably the wrong position for you.
Yeah. You got to hang in there. You got to be able to, like, make the reads. Right, see where everybody is, see the field, and not just fight or flight. And I see too many guys who they want to flight.
Right? Well, yeah, that's
including some really talented guys who fall into that trap.
Well, yeah, because if you can run, but the thing is the coach called the pass play, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to be able to. There's got to be an internal timer, right? If the dam breaks, then
take
right?
off, yeah.
But there's, I will tell you, we spend an inordinate amount of time, especially in our group training, working on pass pro, like in the pocket, like mm-hmm. how to move in the pocket, when to move in the pocket. If you don't have that skill, the natural reaction is fight or flight. It is to get the heck out of there.
Or sometimes it's really tough when they are a good runner, right? And they know they can do that. They rely on that too much.
Right. And that won't work in college.
That won't work. And that will actually hold you back. That will hold back what level you go to. You'll play college ball if you're really talented, but it will hold you back from being at the highest level you could.
Right. If they give you a zone read and you pull, then take off and show your running prowess, right? If they give you a, let's call something in a quick game, and you miss the first guy, then you just take off, right? And we can see that there was someone wide open.
Or you get edgy.
Yeah,
you get.
I'll tell you that's one of the things with like young quarterbacks you watch, and it's hard to see young guys that will have I'm going to say it, the balls to stay in there and take a shot. Like but if their mind is really set on delivering the ball, if they're really a deliverer of the ball, they have no problem because they know they're going to accurately hit it, but they need that extra second to hang, and they're going to take a shot. They're going to get hit.
Is there something that you particularly work on, right, where they get that
do
simulation of live action where somebody like stand there to that last second and have somebody actually physically touch them?
Yeah, we hit them with pads. We bump them. Yeah. We do it with numerous things, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that we do.
That is the biggest thing that I see with people is that fear of, I don't want to get hit, which sounds funny because you're playing football.
It's funny. I'll tell you, like my little team with my son this year, the first play, first game, backside, guys open, and he sees it. We were an empty, so he's got no protection. We got 5 blocking, and they bring in 6. So do the math.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's coming through, right? And that's the best case. That's the worst case. Our best case scenario is just one's coming through.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Right. In middle school, sometimes it's 2 coming through, but you had 5 to block 6. But someone might miss or might get beat, whatever. And he took a shot. I mean, just a shot. And I was like, oh, first play, right? This will be a long season. And delivered. It was a big play. And
it makes you feel better when you
right. And then you get up and but and then that's one of those things where, hey, that's all they got. So we're just going to keep plugging away. And then you know what? It's been very rare that that's happened the rest of the season. But being able to hang in there, some people will do it and some people will not do it. Like it does not matter. Like and I will tell you, when we drill them and you're hitting them, you can tell who the ones are that are not flappable, they're unflappable, and the guys that are like, just like, I mean, I go back to a date and time where I had a kid, he was a middle schooler. And so we hit him with these pads and it makes a lot of noise and it's uncomfortable, right? Yep. You're getting hit in your stomach, your chest, maybe it wraps around, hit you up on your shoulder, into your neck, whatever it might be. And the kid literally like refused, like would not do it. Like, and it was like, come on, you gotta get over this. Like, and he would like giggle and laugh and whatever, but like no, like there's a target, you're gonna throw, and as you're throwing, you're gonna get hit. And he just would not do it. And it took him a long time to get over that fear.
Did you say, do you know how to punt?
Yeah. I'm like, there's a clipboard right here for you. So, but like eventually he got okay with it. But like there's certain dudes that will be like, yeah, okay, fine. Give it to me. I'm still going to put it in the hole.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that can be trained. I think there's some of it is naturally instilled, like with your upbringing or just who you are or just kind of what your mindset is. If you're uber competitive, you don't really care that you're getting hit as long as you get to throw the touchdown or the completion,
and
right?
You want to know what? It coincides with we have 5 guys in the state that are high-level D1 quarterbacks this year. You look at those guys, I've seen all of them take some shots, right? Mm-hmm. They stand in there and they deliver, each and every one of them. And so young quarterbacks, that's something that they really have to focus on and pay attention to.
Yep.
And it's starting at an early age, right?
For sure. Oh, yeah. You if you don't know how to control the pocket, and I'm not saying that you're going to be great at it in 5th and 6th grade and 7th grade, 8th grade. Okay.
You start focusing,
9th grade, shoddy blocking, fine. But by the time you're a sophomore, junior, senior, you should be able to manipulate the pocket and move fairly well to minimize shots on yourself and as well as just buy yourself enough time to get the ball out.
And that's something everybody, like I said, those 5 guys, and one of them I saw, Hoyt Gregory. I mean, but Hoyt likes the physical contact. He likes to deliver the blow. He likes to run. Really good game, man. It was 37-35. And the Grizzlies had a shot. I think they were on the 11-yard line, maybe. It was like maybe under a minute or really late in the game. And the Hoyt had the ball and he's running, right? And he's got, I don't know, the whole team on him and he's fighting for yardage. And I'm thinking to myself, go down.
Yeah.
Fumble the ball. Zumwalt South held onto it. The Bulldogs ran out the clock. But that's something also you got that, management, you got to know. It's like, okay, I'm not going to make it 11 yards with 8 guys on me.
Yep.
Right. Live to fight another play.
Yeah. And I tell you too, I've seen so many calls this year, like where it's like, was his forward progress stopped? Right. Like blow the whistle. Sometimes
it could have been. It could have been.
Yeah. I mean,
you really got to, because they're high school kids, right? And so they're going to keep fighting.
And,
but there's no, he's not going forward. There's no forward movement.
Correct.
Blow the whistle.
At that point, you got to put for safety. The other thing that I think is really interesting, and you talk to a lot of people and you talk to our quarterbacks at the high school and middle school level, with the rules, like they do not protect the quarterback. It is unbelievable the shots you'll see kids taking after plays,
Mm-hmm.
and the ball's gone, and then you say something to the referee about it, and it's like, and it's like, oh, he just hit him in the head. He hit him in the head, right? That's part of the process. We're trying to keep the game a little bit more civil, right? And taking headshots in middle school and high school as a quarterback, I mean, that's not not great.
That's true, but I'm also seeing a lot of targeting calls that, in my opinion, is just football.
Right. Oh yeah, especially at the college level.
Well, and at high school level too. I'm seeing a lot of it this year. Is a lot of targeting calls, and it just kind of blows my mind because if it's a bang bang play, you can tell. I can tell if a kid was legitimate.
What the intent was.
Yeah,
right.
You're moving at a particular speed, right? It's a high speed, impact. You're going to tackle. This kid's moving. The other guy's moving too.
Yep.
Sometimes it's incidental. It just happens. But they're being overly cautious with that.
Right. And I think some of the, unfortunately, the tougher it gets to find referees, God love them for doing it.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of people that you question what level of the game do they actually know? And the thing is you could say that and get people can take offense and go, well, yeah, we got to respect the referees, right? Which you do.
You do.
But guess what? The referees, it's a three-way street. You got to respect the players. The players have to respect the refs and the coaches from their team and the other team. And the coaches have to respect each other. And the coaches have to respect the referees and respect the players. And unfortunately, we've created an environment where if you go to these fields, you'll see like some of the fields that say respect the referee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that empowerment leads to some things that happen on the field.
Right.
And so anytime you let, you have something that's in balance, right? You have three-way balance with the players, the coach, the ref. When you give one more power, it's not going to turn well because,
no.
And the funny thing is like, let's use a middle school game as an example. The only person on that field that's getting paid that should be held to the highest standard are the referees because they're getting paid to do it, right? They're technically professional, being paid to do it.
Good.
The number of times where you just ask simple rule issues and they don't know the rule or they have some interpretation that's at the NFL level when they're doing, high school or middle school level. I know a lot of high school coaches get frustrated by it and you just accept it as, hey, it's just part of the game. But, I would say just as we hold coaches to a high standard and players to a high standard, why are the referees sometimes not held to that same standard? And many times they're the only ones getting paid. There's a lot of high school guys volunteering to coach football in high school.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys making $2,000 to $3,000 to coach a season of football when they're there, not just for the game for 4 hours. They're there 30, 40 hours a week and they're making less money than a referee's making to work 10 games in a year, right? Or whatever. So the unfortunate thing is, we're caught in a rock and a hard place because you need people to do it. But what is the standardization to get people like it? There are instances, and at the middle school level, you're getting a lot of guys that do high school games, right? And it's the same group of people, and just asking for simple rule clarification sometimes is a chore. And then that, as someone that's a purist that loves football, I find that highly, you can make a mistake. That's not, you can miss a call.
But but know the rules.
But if you don't know the rules and you don't know the interpretation of the rules, for instance, last year we had a situation with the head of referee for a particular league. They were rushing directly over the snapper on an extra point. And I said, hey, can you just keep an eye on that? And the guy looked at me dead serious and goes, there's no rule against that. He can do that. And I said, what? And I said, you're kidding me, right? And this guy was the head official of the league. He's the guy assigning. And I said, okay, maybe you didn't understand what I was saying. He is rushing head up on our center. He can go either side of the center, but he cannot primarily make contact with that snapper. Right. You cannot do it, right? And he was defiant. He knew that was not an issue, and I got him the rule book. Said, "Hey, look, the first contact has to be on the guy on either side of the center." He got mad. He got upset, right?
And he got mad that he was wrong.
And, right, correct. Yeah. And so that, again, when you have people that feel empowered, that are being told like, hey, you're being persecuted because you're a referee.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here saying anybody should be demeaning the referees.
The fact that it's so difficult to come by referees, that probably makes that entitlement a little
100%. And so the tough thing is, you know, and again, that's a tough scenario, but like, if you don't know the basic rules, then it erodes the confidence in the rest of the calls that you're making. Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, if you go to someone, a mechanic, and they say your tire's flat, and you're visibly looking at your tire and it's not flat.
Or they say your brakes are fixed.
Now the next thing, there you go. So now you're like, well, wait a second. Now you're like, wait a second. My brakes aren't fixed. And I think you had a scenario just like that.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I hope you're watching.
Right. And so you know, that's the thing is, you know, one of those things erodes your confidence in like, well, wait, are these brakes gonna work?
Right.
Because
absolutely
maybe they're not fixed. Right. And so, you know, I say that's, you know, by and large, there's a lot of really good referees, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But if we're looking at this thing to make it a better experience for the players, coaches, and referees, we have to be honest with ourselves.
But don't you think that they need to recruit? They need some kind 100%. Of program. And we were talking last week about once you're done with football, things you can do to be involved. I mean, you would think that would be there if they actively recruited.
100%.
Starting in high school. Hey, come on back when you're done, when you finish, you know, we got a program. We want to train you. Stay involved in football.
I know for a fact leagues, local junior leagues, I don't know for the high school because it's a statutory rate, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. They've asked like, hey, we will pay more money to get these guys. And it has been, you know, and for quality. Right. And the response is, nah. That's not going to work, right?
Who's saying no? That's
the refereeing group, just because of how because you're going to have to pay them all that, and there's good and that's them acknowledging that there's really good and really bad, right? And so that's not their fault because you're hiring what you got, right? And so to your point, though, maybe that's something we can get involved in helping actively, you know, recruiting these young guys. And I have sent numerous guys that way, and again. You have to treat them with respect, otherwise you're not going to get good ones there. But respect is earned, right? Yeah. So and how do you earn it? In my opinion, there's one way to earn it as a referee: just know the rules. I'm not saying you got to make every call perfectly. You just have to know the rules.
I see an elite referee school.
Okay, we've done the 101. You know, and you know what's sad? What's sad is that, you know, we have the Battlehawks, which is great. But when we had the Rams, they were the type of guys that would go in an organization that would spearhead something like this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They were the ones when there was an issue with like a low shortage of athletic trainers for the inner city schools. Guess who stepped up and made it happen?
There's still a problem with
that. And the Rams, when they were here, that was not a big issue, as big of an issue, right? Because they would put money behind it. They would put support behind it. And I think, you know, us losing that, it's a listing ship. You know what I mean? Like like we have issues in our football community that used to be much more stabilized when the Rams were here. I mean, the amount of money those guys and equipment they would give to people behind the scenes and the support on grants, things like that, like
community involvement.
And again, the Battlehawks are doing the best they can. They're just not going to be able to do that. Level. So like this past Sunday, we had an event with them, with the Battlehawks. It was a community event at the Dome. And we worked it was a flag football event for kids, right? And for inner city youth.
How was the turnout?
It was good. It was I would say a little bit bigger than last year. So the second year we've done it. They had a gaming component. So kids had like a gaming tournament. And then there was on the Dome. So we were the first group to do anything on the new turf, brand new turf, first people to ever play on it.
That's fun.
They have new LED lighting for the field, which is really cool.
So answer me this. What are the prospects of the state championship games returning there?
Well, I can tell you this. We were working through the mayor's office and you know, like the community outreach. Mm-hmm. We had a set hard time to be out of there. So I think the rules and the flexibility of that Dome and whoever manages it, it's kind of their show.
Yeah.
And they're pretty stringent. I mean, for instance, going in there, they had a full staff for, metal detectors, safety, all that stuff, just to even get in. Just like you're going to a game. I think there's just protocols that they have for every event there.
Yeah, it's 2024.
And then they have people like, manning the field, if you will, like security, or that security, but more like usher type scenario. Right. So I think the cost to run something there, even though the city, I guess technically, or doesn't technically own it, but as a stakeholder in it, it's interesting. I would think that the cost is probably the same, if not higher.
Yeah.
Than what it would have been. But yeah, to your point, it would be awesome to have the state title game there.
It was the best. It was the absolute best.
And the turf is now up to standard. It is great.
Right.
The lighting is great. Like it's these LED, and they can flash them and do all that stuff. And what's cool is they went wall to wall with field, wall to wall all the way around. Remember how Reggie Bush got hurt?
Mm-hmm.
It's all turf. There's not an ounce of any concrete or anything when you walk on the field.
Odd set up like it was,
which was always crazy that they did that.
Right.
But yeah, it was a really neat experience. But point being is, there's not enough of that stuff going on. And as I applause to the St. Louis City for doing it. Yeah. We love being a part of it. The kids now, there's kids of all ages doing it. So I would say that the age group was like 10 to about 18, and 3 or 4 kids, just there playing. One was a basketball player from St. Mary's, a freshman. I was gonna say, he needs to be playing football.
Anybody
right?
I would know.
Yeah, no, but there was a young man who caught an interception. Took it back to the house. I'm like, oh yeah, where do you go to school? Right? Yeah. I'm talking to him, and he says, oh, I'm in 7th grade. He's like 6 foot 180. I'm like, I go, how old are you? He goes, I just turned 13. So I was talking to his mom, and just good looking kid from O'Fallon, Illinois, was just there, just having fun. And, and I applaud every one of those kids that came to it, because none of them knew each other.
Yeah.
And so we broke them up in teams. We had, Jordan Johnson was there helping. We had Devin Darrington, who's with the UFL Renegades out of Arlington. We had Kevon Latulis, who's a running back for the Battlehawks. And then Tion Harris. If you remember Tion, he just came back from he graduated from he went to Quincy,
right?
Did his graduate year at Missouri Valley. Now he's playing over in Europe, and
nice,
yeah, just awesome. So he's back, and we had a ton of fun.
Is he playing quarterback?
Playing quarterback.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is he growing?
No, but he still can run his butt off, and he can chuck it.
Throw it. Yeah,
he can throw it.
He can throw it. Yeah.
Yes, he is a hell of an athlete. But yeah, he was back. But we had just a really good event. But back to the original thing with like not having the Rams here, like it's just really hard to support the grand scale of football in our region. And I think, them being here, the Dome, that helped, right? Like they didn't own it, but they were the primary tenant or one of them.
I mean, you have that Dome there, and if everything's up there, you got turf in there now. I mean, they need to come together and bring the state championship games back there.
Figure it out, right?
I mean, just figure it out, because, everybody liked it. The people from Kansas City liked it. The people from all over the state liked it. It was a great event. It was great for the city.
Great for the city. And what else does it do? It evens the playing field of like crappy weather.
Yes.
And like you want to see 2 teams that have worked their butts off on an even neutral site.
Correct.
And let them play.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so
you don't want a team that heavy pass oriented offense be penalized because it's
windy, cold, wet,
rainy, snowy.
And I get it. Yeah, the game's got to be played under all conditions, but the reality of it is that can benefit one and not the other, right? And so you put them in a neutral site, you see who's best.
Well, whoever needs to get together and do that needs.
I think you can write a check for it.
I will write a check, and then somebody needs to come up with the other however many millions of dollars.
I think it's like $100,000 or something like to rent it.
Is it really?
I think it's something like that.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, you got it.
That's reasonable. Yeah. Not for me. But
yeah, but I mean, again, it's a state. It's all kids from the state of Missouri. It's a taxpayer-funded entity. Like, come on, like, right. I mean.
Everybody involved,
and I think the city would enjoy having that revenue come back, right?
Oh,
and it is weird. You have some teams playing down in Springfield. You got some teams playing in Columbia. I mean, and I love Mizzou Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great fit for a state championship.
Not at
it's
all.
It's just a weird, because especially like when you're in the dome, like the sound and the energy in there,
it's great. Yeah.
It's great, right? And I'm telling you, they did a heck of a job. The lighting was. When I say light age is ahead, like it is. Last year it was really dull. I don't know did you go to the Memphis Mizzou game last year?
Yeah.
It was rough. That turf was rough.
Oh yeah.
The lighting was tough.
Yep.
It is 100% improvement.
Really,
it's great. They did a great job.
It was rough back when the Rams were playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just like an odd experience for an NFL game. It almost didn't seem like an NFL game.
The Battlehawks are gonna. It'll show up better on TV this year. It's gonna be. I would predict it'll be a better product just because of that.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll get involved. Maybe they'll write that 100. Maybe they'll write a check for $10,000 and then you can provide the other 90.
I think they're just trying to survive.
Then it can just be the Misha Elite Football
State Championship
games.
Underwritten by.
And then your face will be up on the.
No, I love football, but I'm not going to pay that money for that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but. I'm excited though to see where the state playoffs go. There should be some damn good matchups. I think
there's going to be some. Yeah, there's going to be.
These really people, you got to finish your season strong,
right?
I think there's be a couple really good matchups at the end of the season, right? With Cardinal Ritter.
I'm telling you what, there's some interesting districts that are just going to be brutal battles, which really some these state championships might seem like they come out of that or some of those games. But yeah, that's the thing, and we're seeing a lot of those matchups. Like this weekend, I do believe it's you have Liberty North playing Lee Summit North, and I mean those were two of the top 4 teams in the state, along with like CBC and DeSmet.
Mm-hmm.
That's happening, but yeah, it's gonna get interesting here real quick.
What's your prediction? I don't like giving predictions on. Okay, how about this?
Well, I've been high on Lee Summit North.
I was going to say, do you think on 6A, do you think a St. Louis team or a Kansas City team wins?
Ooh, on paper right now, I would say KC. And in fact, I've been spending a lot of time over there because I mean it's just the talent. However, I'm telling you what, man, you cannot count CBC and Scott Pingle out.
They beat that Lipscomb team was a good team.
That's what I mean.
I got to watch the tail end of the SLU Vianney game.
Yeah. What'd you think?
SLU, Vianney gave SLU all they could handle. Went down to score, could tie it up or go for 2. They went for 2.
Yeah.
Probably a half yard short. I think that they're definitely on the rise. Their program is. I mean, Sam Dean had a really good performance,
and we're talking about him last year.
Steady Eddie, man.
Yeah, just from 7-on-7. Just you could see what was going to happen from him.
And he's such a good kid, and I think he's not getting some of the press that he deserves, right? And some of that it comes down to, just kind of visibility. And I think more people see him, his body of work this year, and they see him this spring. People are going to start jumping all over him, right? And he's just one of those guys who's kind of coming into his own. And
he's a guy who's going to go off and be highly successful on the next level. And people are going to be like, oh, well,
where'd he come from?
Right.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Exactly. So, so looking at the Class 6, CBC and the media has them ranked number 1, which I have no problem with that. They've done real good. Nixa 6-0. I've seen them both. Seen Nixa. They're really good.
Hey, not to jump in, Jackson Cantwell, number 1 player in the class of 2026. I saw.
Yeah,
he's the top.
Yeah, but I had that a long time ago. So that was. Oh, you're talking about like nationally?
Yeah, nationally.
Is it? Okay.
I saw him say he put a tweet out about it or something. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where like the fan sites want to say that. I mean, they're very enamored.
Mm-hmm.
And I will leave it at that. They're very enamored, and he's definitely been the number 1 guy in the state to watch in Missouri, and he's up there. I mean, he's rare, and I think that's what they're very enamored of. You're rare to find somebody that size with that kind of athleticism who is still a baby, basically.
Yeah.
And so you're like, what?
And also as strong as an ox.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like he's still a baby. Yeah. He's still a young guy, and it's like. His potential, his ceiling, he hasn't reached his ceiling, and that's what's
wild.
People. It is wild. I mean, think back through in NFL, some guys, some freak offensive linemen, he looks like he's on that trajectory, so I could see where people would be like that. But yeah, I mean, Knicks, they're just good all the way around. They've got a huge line, good running back, really, nice sophomore quarterback who can really sling it. I mean, strong arm, and they have a really good defense, underrated defense as well. It's really good. And then Lee Summit North is number 3. The Smet, number 4. They had that little hiccup, and but they're just stomping people now. Really, really interesting game coming up in a week and a half, where you have Cardinal Ritter going to the Smet.
So that should be fun.
That should be really fun. Dylan Dobb versus Carson Boyd. I mean, my goodness. I mean, it's basically going to be a college football game because you're going to have that many D1 players. I think
I'll be at that one.
Yeah. I think I'll probably see you there on that sideline. But that's just going to be crazy. Rockhurst, number 5. Of course, they lost. Lee Summit, really good team I saw. Blue Spring South, Seckman. Seckman's just been on a roll the past 2-3 years.
Yep.
And they always seem like they head into the play. At some point, they're like 10-0 before they get knocked out. Then you finish up with Liberty. Rockbridge is a team to really watch. They're not getting a lot of love, but man,
anytime you got a gunslinger like Brady Davidson, you have
the weapons to get them the ball.
Yep.
I mean, you have Dre Seaman and you have Devin Holt, both guys, elite combine guys who've been there. Really good tight end, 6'6", 230-pound tight end named Garrett Essner, who I believe UNLV's offered D1 tight end. So I mean, he's got the weapons. Donovan Taylor, another guy who because he came in and just jumped through the roof and ran super fast at the elite combine. They got him playing some running back, and I mean, he's really solid too. So I mean, that's just going to be really good in Class 6, and then in Class 5. Ritter, of course. I mean, they're going to steamroll everybody.
Yeah,
they're in a very favorable district. Plus, they have all that talent. Platte County, number 2 in the state, 6-0 as well. Rocco Marriott is just a man, and
he's putting up numbers too.
I'm telling you what. Yeah, those big offers need to start rolling in.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. You're 6'3", 209. You run a 4.58 40. You got a 36-inch vertical.
And he's got offers, too. It's not like he doesn't have any offers, right? I mean,
and this is what's so interesting about recruiting is they're all hovering around him, right? They're like bees, right? Wait, and which one's going to be the first one that goes in there?
And then once somebody does,
they're going to start
then
popping.
The other ones start popping.
Just like we're seeing with Jacob Eberhardt.
Yeah.
Right? Who we talked about in the summertime, but we didn't name him by name because we didn't want to put that pressure on him. But he's the 6'3", 210-pound athlete that we said
numerous times. Right. He's going to blow up. As he should.
Just recently got offers from Nebraska, Wisconsin. Now it's going to start popping.
Yep.
You see that. And that's a similar thing with Rocco. St. Pius, another Kansas City team, 5-1, really good quarterback, Hudson Bell. I mean, they have a really, really good team. Carthage, who I've seen, very talented. Helias, they're tied for 4 with Carthage, another really, really good team. I see where Chase Wisecarver took a visit someplace recently.
Where was he? I'm trying to think.
I can't remember. I'm sure we'll know.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll find out. I'm sure we'll hear.
Picture. Yeah,
Branson who's a little bit of a surprise at number 7. They're 6-0 undefeated. Cape Central, really good team. Have a really good running back, Keyshawn Boyd, another elite combine guy. Republic, and then Grain Valley. Hazelwood East looks like they've dropped down into number 10. I guess they have that loss. Interested, yeah. So I mean, it's fascinating what's going on with it. But yeah, Luther North had a really tight game with MICDS.
So they did.
They have a really tough game this weekend. They're going out to play in Chillicothe. They're playing Maryville. And
it was always good.
Always good. Last year they lost that game. I think there's
was that the one that was like a mud bowl last year? One year they played them, and I remember it being absolutely horrendous conditions.
It was not favorable to North last year, so that's happening. Kearney, I kind of see a Luther North Kearney collision going to be coming down the way.
Yep.
So I kind of see that happening. So it's high school football. We were talking about Jacob Everhart getting some nice offers for him.
Mm-hmm.
Gabe Weaver, MICDS, picked up his first offer. Dakari Hollis picked up an offer. So
I saw he didn't play this week. I wondered, do you know? I don't know anything about.
I don't.
It didn't look like he didn't pass any. So.
Oh, really?
So yeah, look, they had.
I'm telling you what, they've got two really good runners in Messiah Smith and Antoine Gunn.
Yep.
I mean, that's a really just.
Good team.
1-2, really good team. So they're probably gonna make some noise as well. But you got any game you're gonna be heading to this weekend? You watch a bunch of different games.
It's interesting because like usually I have a game the next day, so like I'm pretty locked in on wanting to make.
You're there being the mad scientist, trying to come up with plays,
make sure things are in order.
Mm-hmm.
Think I'm gonna probably catch the Lafayette.
Eureka game.
Yeah,
that's a big.
I think that'll be a big one. Got a lot of kids playing in the game. Should be fun to see. Big rivalry. I don't think they care for one another. So I think that's always fun when you get to see that.
Yeah, that's really the big game. And then over on the Kansas City side, you have the Liberty North and Lee Summit North, which is they've been facing each other in the like semifinals the past few years. So. But Lee Summit North is really good. I do believe that Isaiah Mosley, though, didn't really play last week's game. Yeah, I don't know if he's a little dinged up or what happened with that, but that's what I heard. So
that's the thing is this time of year, all these things and all the top teams we're talking about.
Yeah,
one guy goes down.
Yes,
can completely change a season for a team.
Right, and so how they handled that and still won is really a testament to the level of talent that they have, because they have that really good quarterback who's got a bunch of D1 offers, who just earned them all at Lindenwood, Chapman, and they have a bunch of other players. Another team with a huge line. I know all the players on the line. Really, really good defense. Caleb Green, Caden Green's little brother, and a bunch of great defensive guys. They have it all. They have on every level. From like freshmen on.
Yeah, I remember last year we talked about the freshmen, so they're now sophomores.
They're sophomores, and they're all playing, and they're all just doing stuff. And you can see them. They go as a group on these college game day visits because you can be like, okay, well, yep, there's their sophomore class. They're at Nebraska. They're at Mizzou. They're here, but that's going to be by the time they're seniors.
They're going to be pretty nasty.
It's going to be pretty nasty.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be out and about. I still haven't zoned in on where I'm going to come. That Eureka Lafayette game, though,
should be fun.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be just a fight.
Yes,
Battle of 109. You say?
Yeah, Battle of 109.
Yeah,
I believe it's at Lafayette. I think
they have like a tire or something, or a bucket or something.
I got no idea.
Somebody wins.
I'm sure they're playing for something.
They should do that.
Yeah. You got to have some award, right?
Right. Some loafers.
Yeah,
the golden loafer.
Yeah, right. Well, you have a cowboy hat for Eureka, and then Lafayette. A loafer.
There you go. The loafers.
Yeah, it should be fun though, because they and I think interesting. Coach Sumner, whose dad used to work with us, Tom Sumner, great guy. Stalwart. With the Eureka program, then worked with us for like 6 years in our strength program. Really good guy. Can't say enough good things about him. You have him, his son Jake's the head coach at Eureka, and then John, his other son, is the AD at Lafayette. It's a little family rivalry there, right? So I think that should be fun. I think that probably adds to their household dynamic. I would imagine.
It's a big week for the Sumner family,
right? And I think Coach Manny will have the Lafayette guys ready. It should be kind of fun.
Been there forever.
Yeah, you get guys like a Robbie Preckle, like it's fun to watch those guys on a big stage and see what they do and see what they're going to do.
Bunch of boom players that are on that Lafayette.
Yeah, a lot of them. You're right, a lot.
So that's going to be fun to watch as well. All right, everybody, have fun this week out and about, checking out some football. Mizzou on the road at UMass. Lindenwood, I wanted to talk some Lindenwood football. We'll hold that off till next week, but they got a game as well this week. We haven't really covered them as much as we probably should. So we'll talk about that, but everybody stay safe and have fun. We'll talk to you next week. See ya.